skadoosh. Jack Black is back, and he's Jack Blacking and skadooshing all over the place in Kung Fu Panda 4. But is Jack Black enough to save this series? Well, let's review.
Just movie reviews, personal opinions. Like, comment, subscribe for personal opinions.
I have to admit, I was incredibly excited for this movie, even though I always felt it was going to disappoint me. By the time you reach any fourth film in a favorite franchise, it's never going to be as good as the previous entries that you remember. And it's the same case here. That's not to say it's a bad movie. However, it has some issues. And a big one is we're missing the Furious 5. And I would have to guess that this has to be some kind of monetary issue that they didn't want to bring Angelina Jolie back, Jackie Chan, Seth Rogen, Tobias Funke from Arrested Development. And I read too that this was the cheapest movie in the series, coming under $100 million, $80 million to produce this, which is wild because it actually does look amazing. It looks incredible, but I guess they saved a ton of money not bringing the Furious 5 back. And the movie suffers because of it. This movie lacks so much charm from the originals, from the first three, that they just can't seem to grab here. Jack Black is absolutely propping this movie up on his back. But it's just not enough. We're introduced to new characters in this story, and quite frankly, they're kind of bland. The villain had so much potential to be awesome, but it just never took it that extra step to get there. The Furious 5 get a very, very brief excuse, I say, by Poe as to why they're not in this movie, and it's quite disappointing. And now we're left with a buddy up between Poe and this new character, and quite frankly, never really interested me that much, and quite very, very, very predictable. This is a very predictable plot from the get-go. We're told that Poe needs to choose a successor to the Dragon Warrior. And I don't understand the reason for having to choose a new Dragon Warrior. Poe just seems to be like he's in his prime, but I guess we got to, pull a story from somewhere, and that's what they've done. From the get-go, from there, it becomes very predictable. Like, oh, he's got to find a new Dragon Warrior. He's introduced to this brand new character who just pops out of nowhere. Just happens to be in this small town. No one's ever seen her before. Anyway, these two go off on a little adventure to find this new enemy, the Chameleon, who is probably the most underused villain in all of this series. Like, it has so much potential and yet just completely wasted. I mean, a Chameleon is such a good concept for a villain to be able to replicate any of Poe's enemies plus new ones. You could get really, really stylistic with this, and they did. The fight scenes were great, but they just never went that extra mile. Now, the fight scenes, they are to a standard you would expect. However, they don't reach a new height that you would want in this kind of film. There's this level of expectation now where every fight scene needs to be like top notch. This has some fun fight scenes. Not a lot of them are emotionally driven. It doesn't feel special. It is a visual spectacle and it's amazing. But I keep thinking of just the fight scene with the chopsticks in Kung Fu Panda 1 between Poe and Master Shifu, and it was the beginning of their bond. And you can see the emotion and by the end of the fight, you just feel so good for both of these characters. They've both grown in their roles. In Kung Fu Panda 4, there's a lot of fight scenes, but they're just there because it seems like, okay, this is fight scene number 4, obligatory fight scene number 4 in this movie. So that's what I said. Jack Black is Jack Black, and like I said, he is ultimate Jack Black in this movie, and he's great. He's worth the price of admission alone, just for his enthusiasm for this role. But unfortunately, the introduction of Awkwafina's character isn't enough to hold this movie. So who is this movie for? Well, at the end of the day, you can say it's for kids. And I would say as a kids film, this is a 9 out of 10. If you're a parent, it's a very enjoyable movie to watch with your kids. There are way, way worse animated films out there that are just absolutely awful. But this one is a cut above. as a movie, if you grew up with Kung Fu Panda 1, 2, and 3, lower your expectations. This is going to be a little hard for you to watch in certain places. It's just a little dull and lacking the same charm that the original 3 had. And yeah, it's just disappointing. So my score out of 10 would be 6.5. Worth watching. I would wait for it to start streaming. Don't go wasting your money if it's just you. If you have kids who are begging to go to the cinemas, by all means take them. It's a fun time for the kids. But if you're going there to watch it for yourself, as someone who's grown up with the series, who has a respect for cinema and kung fu and all this kind of stuff, maybe you just wait till it comes out on a streaming service. So yeah, let me know what you guys thought on Kung Fu Panda 4.
Just movie reviews, personal opinions. Like, comment, subscribe for personal opinions.